navy blue of Victoria.
Uses his feet and goes again through mid-wicket. That's an even better shot from the Victorian captain.
Swept away very nicely by Nicole Bolton for four.
Oh, he's been given! That is 50. The man from Northcote.
And welcome to another edition of the Vic State Cricket Podcast. The Young Guns is the theme this week. We've got two of Victoria's brightest young stars with us on the podcast. And a little bit later on, Adam Crosswaite will join us in the Legends series, and he certainly has a great story to tell. But we're going to start by welcoming in Jono Merlo, who's been around the Victorian system now for quite a while. Jono, thanks for being my co-host today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Now, you've played cricket with Adam Crosswaite, so I'm sure you're going to have plenty of questions for him a little bit later on.
Yeah, hopefully. I might even chuck in a few little one-liners every now and then just to
good.
keep him on his toes.
Very good. So not only have we got you, Jono, but we've got someone, again, I'm going to get you to introduce this person because he's a good mate of yours and he's sort of the big news of Victorian cricket because he made his debut last week and did pretty well.
Yeah, so we have Fergus Brownless O'Neill here. I think firstly, what I think everyone needs to know is, Ferg, how did you get the nickname Brownless?
Well, back in my tradie days, I used to listen to the Rush Hour, JB and Billy, and all the time we used to love them. And JB and Billy would go on a rant about something, give a tip, usually Geelong to beat North Melbourne, our team, Jono, which is pretty inevitable. And they'd call him Tipster Brownless, or he'd go on a big rant. They'd call him Rambling Brownless, and I've kind of run with that, tried to make it my own now, and Brownless is everywhere. So going all right with that for the moment.
Very good, very good. Now, tell us about the debut. It's what so many cricketers, particularly that live in Victoria, want to do is represent their state, and you got the opportunity to do that on the weekend or last week. What was it like?
Oh, I think I was very, very grateful to get the opportunity. I thought that was, it was a privilege to be able to play. I was very happy to get my cap presented by Trav Dean. Both Jono and I obviously know very well, and I think he's been great for the Vics, and if there's someone I probably look up to at the Vics, probably be Trav. So I thought that was a really good start for me, getting that going. And then it was a great experience. I think you learn a lot just being in the system for the year and a bit I have been, and then you learn just as much in the 4 days that you play. I know you'd know a lot about that, Merles. You've played enough now, and for me to get a taste, I thought it was good. I'm happy that it's done now. The cap preso and the media and that, a little bit of added pressure. I'm happy that that's done. I was happy to be able to play and to be able to contribute, but I think, you're not judged off one game, you judge your career. So hopefully I can keep going all right. Was
it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, it was. You can see the players that are a different gravy. Like I was very lucky to get Heady for my first wicket, and I thought that if he didn't nick that wide one, I could have been a very different debut for me. So I realised how good the good are and also how hard it is to win a game. I felt like we dominated that for 3.5 days in probably the worst of the conditions and still couldn't win the Shield game. So I think that's a good learning thing for us, and I'm excited to hopefully get my first win whenever that may be.
Now, I asked Jono the same question, but I'll ask you first. What's it like when you're watching these guys on television, see Travis Head, Alex Carey, these sorts of players, and all of a sudden you're bowling to them? And some of the best players in the world, both play for Australia, and here you are coming in and bowling to them. What's that like? Do you have to pinch yourself, or are you in the zone that they just become a player?
Yeah, I don't think you probably appreciate it till after the game or until you finish your spell or whatever, but you try and treat them as just another person, but it is hard. Obviously, you've been growing up looking at these people and watching these people since a young age, so that was definitely a bit different. But I felt like once you're in the contest, they just become another person, obviously. So that's what I tried to do, and I was lucky that Heady nicked the wide one because it could have been a different debut for me if that didn't happen.
You were calling him your bunny, weren't you?
No, I was not.
That's what all the boys were saying.
Oh, no, I was not calling him that.
Well, you got him again. You got him twice in the match.
That was
should have heard what he was saying in the change rooms.
That is propaganda.
He might not play Test cricket again because of you.
No, I highly doubt that. I think he's a very good player.
What did you learn?
I definitely learned how hard it is to win a game, and I think I gained a greater respect for the Barrel and Big Will Sutherland and Croc, to just keep coming in and steaming in and going for as long as they did. I thought on the other side as well, Jordan Buckingham, who's good Northwest wizard, like Jono and I, and good mate of mine, I thought like how he just kept charging in and would have bowled 45 overs or so. Like, I think that's what I learnt, how hard Shield cricket is. You know, we watch the T20 and the sixes and the fours and you bowl 4 overs to come in and bowl. You know, I only bowled, I think, 28 overs and barrel bowled 45 and I was absolutely cooked. So I felt like that's a big thing I learnt, how hard Shield cricket actually is.
What about you, Jono? Your debut, you've played a lot of short form cricket, you've played big bash cricket, but to play for Victoria in a Shield game, what was that experience like? Who gave you your cap and, you know, living out your dream?
Yeah, I think Ferg sort of hit the nail on the head, really. It's an amazing accomplishment that you'll never forget. I was lucky to get my cap presented to me by Sean Graff, a great St Kilda man and obviously even better Victorian man, so that was something quite special to me. Mine was a little different. I was batting 3 at the Gabba with a juke ball, so
Good luck.
I remember
Good
sitting
luck.
in the nets going like, oh no, I'm not ready for this. So I mean, I think it was an amazing experience. I remember hitting my first or second ball for 4 down the ground and I was like, oh geez, this might be a bit more comfortable than I thought, and then I got bowled the next ball and then made a duck in the second innings, so mine probably wasn't the best debut. But yeah, amazing experience, and I think I had to wait a fair while before my next Shield game after that. But I think Ferg will sort of contest to this. The more he plays, I think the more you play, the more comfortable you get, and the more experiences you sort of exposed to, I think just held you for good stead in the long run. And even just playing white ball cricket as well, I think the more you play for Victoria, the more comfortable you get in the group, the more comfortable you get in your own game, and they're all just invaluable experiences.
So both of you guys are quite unique in that you can bat and bowl, and often there's either a spot for one of those in the team or none of those in the team. They'll play 4 specialist bowlers, a keeper and the batsman. So what's that like? It's 2 emerging players that you're around the mark, and it's so hard to get into the team, and then it's so hard to stay in the team depending on circumstances. I'll ask you first, John.
Yeah, no, it's very tricky. I think especially, but I just think, I don't know if you think about it like this, Ferg, but I always think, I mean, I've got 2 skills and 3 skills if you count fielding that I can possibly impact with. And I think that's probably something that 9 other blokes on the field, possibly 10 sometimes, can't quite do that. So, I mean, especially for a white ball game for me, I'll go out and, I mean, if we're batting first and I miss out, it's like, well, okay, I've got 50 overs here that I can impact with the field or I can impact with the ball. So that's one way I look at it. Obviously, it gets tricky when, you're gonna get Shield games or even white ball games where they say, no, we're going to go with 4 specialist bowlers or whatever they're going to go with. But I think, it's just all about trying to take it in the most positive way you can. I'm not sure if you think about it the same way, Ferg, but...
No, I reckon you hit a nail on the head there. I feel like, you know, it's invaluable to be able to contribute with both bat and ball in the same game, in the same innings. And you look at the people who say Cam Green's going to be the best player of all time. Well, you can bowl 140 and take 5 for and can also make 100. So I feel like, as you said, that's spot on. Being able to contribute with both bat and ball is what you want to be able to do. And I feel like you're never out of the game, you know, whether it be doesn't go your way with the ball, you feel like you can contribute for the bat. And I thought in that Shield game, it showed, you know, we played the extra bowler and for Sutherland at 7 to get 140 runs for the game. And, mate, I reckon he got 6 wickets for the game. That's invaluable. So,
Yes, it is.
To be able to contribute with both bat and ball, I feel like it always keeps us in the game, and that's something that we can, you know, whether you're a batter that bowls a bit or a bowler that bats a bit, if you can be able to do both, that's priceless.
And you got a few handy runs as well over in Adelaide. Are you, again to both of you, are you white ball players then red ball players, or the other way around, or do you see yourselves as both? How do you see yourselves? You're still obviously both very early in your careers.
I'll let you go first, Fergie.
I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, you want to be able to do everything, and we speak about being able to play both red and white ball, but I think I'm probably more suited to red ball at the moment. But, you know, things change within 3-4 months, let alone 4 or 5 years, hopefully, if you're lucky enough to play for that long. So I feel like at the moment I've probably suited a bit more to red ball, but I'd love to play white ball. I'd love to play big bash, and I think if you get the opportunity, no matter whether it be in Shield cricket or in big bash or in the Marsh Cup, if we're there, I know we'll both be backing ourselves with bat and ball, and hopefully we can contribute for the boys.
Yeah, I think I'm probably just the opposite. I think, white ball's probably been the one thing I've probably been able to try and hold the spot in the Victorian team a little bit better. But, Ferg's spot on. I think probably for us sort of medium pacers, you'd like getting a red ball in your hand and being able to try and execute different skills and try and bowl a couple of wobble scenes as Fergie's high and I think it's just one of those things, though, that if you're going to be put into more of a white ball frame for the time being, that doesn't mean that you're not working on your red ball game, and when the chance comes, you're going to try and absolutely do everything you can to grab it. So I think it's just, for us at the moment, it's developing the skills in the background, and then when you get your chance in the white or red ball, whatever you're playing in, it's just saying, no, I'm going to do it. And that's the thing. We spend 4 or 5 months in pre-season where we're working on both sides of our games, white and red ball. So it doesn't mean that when we get into whatever format it is that we're not going to be able to go, nah, we're ready.
Yeah. What about, you're both really good mates, and at times you're both vying for the same spot. How hard is that? Because we're going to talk to Adam Crosswaite later, who was the wicketkeeper in the Victorian team, fighting for a spot with Matthew Wade. So I'm interested to hear what he's got to say about that whole situation, that scenario. But what about for you two guys?
Yeah, I actually can't stand him. No. I think Fergie and I, we're really good mates, and I think he's just one of those things that I think in the squad that we've got at the moment, we're all relatively the same age, similar sort of parts of our career as well, where we can just, Fergie and I can go for a coffee, and we've done it plenty of times where we'll just sit down and talk about where we're at and just sort of trying to find a way to, I think I've said it a few times to him, one of the things that I always say for each other, because we're so similar, is just like each year that you come in and you're contracted, because who knows how long it's going to be for, there's got to be something that you get better at, or there's something that you've got to start doing that you previously couldn't do, because if you're constantly improving and getting better and better and better, then, it's going to be pretty hard to sort of say, well, we're not going to contract this guy, or we're not going to play this guy because, well, look at his improvement rate. So I think, I'm not sure if you're the same, Fergie, but I'm not very fazed by who's going for my spot. Even Sutho has probably been the main all-rounder for Victoria for however many years, and even in our junior stuff, and I can easily say he's one of my best mates, and I absolutely love seeing him get his 100. I don't think it really affects us that much.
So that's interesting, Jono. Fergus, do you find it the same, being such good mates, that it's easy to almost make yourselves better, work with each other?
Yeah, for sure. I think we definitely do a lot of work together in the pre-season and the off-season, and I also think with the tight-knit group that we've got at the moment, we're all happy to celebrate each other's success. We were here watching the boys not long ago for Cammy McClure's birthday and had a good group there, and I feel like, just with all the boys being a similar age demographic, we're all celebrating each other's success, and whether it's John's turn or my turn or whoever's turn, we're all happy to see each other go well.
It is quite noticeable how close you are, and not just in age, but you really get on really well. So to your pathway through to get to this point where you're both wearing Victorian cricket polo shirts in here today, how did it happen for you, Fergus? How did you get? Were you in all the representative squads, or did you develop later? How did it happen?
Yeah, I think I was a bit different to a fair few of the boys. I played 12s and 15s and was going quite well, and I missed out on the under 17s Vic stuff, and I finished school after year 11, and I was on the tools and working as a tradie digging holes, landscaping, and I kind of realised maybe I should take that a bit more seriously. It's a little bit better doing that than digging holes and working long days and long hours in weather like we have at the moment in Melbourne. So I was lucky enough to play first grade for Melbourne under Adam Dale and Cam White as my captain. And I think Whitey was big for me, coming through, getting me on the right track with my cricket. And obviously he's a great Victorian player and Australian player, so he was a good influence for me. And I ended up playing the under 19s Vic stuff, went all right there and kept going all right through the Melbourne Demons, and was lucky enough to be here, and yeah, just grateful for how good it is, and a lot better than being on the tools. I can guarantee that.
So it's almost like a footy player that didn't get picked up in a draft, and you think it's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. So you come back and you get an opportunity a little bit later, but you've got better perspective on what it all means and what's possible, I guess.
100%. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like, the perspective is a great word. You realise, how lucky we are to do this through COVID. We didn't have any effects through us. And yeah, to come in and really to do what we do and call it work is probably not fair. We all have fun. We all train. We all stay fit and healthy and have a good time. And yeah, we're all grateful to be doing what we're doing, I think. And that's been a big thing for a lot of the boys. So I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. And I know all the boys are as well.
What about you, Jono? It's different but similar. Obviously, in the Australian under-19 team, you've been around the system now for quite some time, even playing some of the stuff when you... What was it? What was the Cricket Australia 11 or something like that? In the old One-Day Cup?
Yeah.
Share us with how you got through and probably when you thought, I reckon I could play for Victoria.
Yeah, so a little bit different, I guess, to Fergie. So I sort of played from 15s through to 19s, both with Victoria and Australia in those sorts of tournaments, and then was lucky to play for, I think it was the last CA11 team in the JLT Cup at the time. So, I think I sort of got, I wouldn't say fast-tracked, but I was sort of thrown into situations a lot earlier than I guess Ferg and a lot of other guys would be thrown into. So I think that was pretty... I think I got a lot out of that, especially being an 18-year-old playing against senior players. But at the same time, I think when you do get your chance and your contract with Victoria, it's still... You walk into the change room and you go, okay, I've got to take another absolute leap to get to where I want to get to, despite having done what I've done in the past, because... when you go from playing junior cricket against guys your age to jump into play against men who a lot of the time they want to take your head off or they're giving you a few words behind the back that sort of said like, okay, I'm not actually ready for this. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a massive step when you do get to that from junior cricket to senior cricket. But, I mean, you learn so much along the way that it helps you and it gets you ready for what you need to be ready for.
And the great thing is you're both so young still. You mentioned the Sutherlands before and the work of Will. The women, they've had a win and a loss in recent times before they went off on their big bash journeys for the year. Can you quite comprehend what the Sutherlands, Annabelle and Will, are doing at their age?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I think even if you just look at Bellsy for the time being, I think she's averaging, what is it?
150.
150, yeah, something amazing where she's got 200s and could have been 3. So, like, we watch that stuff really closely, especially with the girls and how they're going. Yeah, I mean, just that alone, averaging 150 in 4 or so games is unbelievable. And then you got Will at the other side that his bowling, I think everyone knows, has been tremendous over the years. And he's got a horse heart that he can just absolutely run in all day. And then to get his batting on side as well, in especially Shield cricket, to get 100 in... I mean, I wasn't there, but it sounded like some extremely tough conditions. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's one of my good mates, so I absolutely love watching him fly. And Belsy's the exact same. To see her at such a young age, not only dominating for Victoria, but for Australia as well, I think it's incredible, especially for that family.
Do you cross paths much between the men's and the women's program? Like, not necessarily bowling to them or whatever, but watch them train and appreciate their skills?
Oh, for sure. Like, they're always in the gym with us at similar times, and I think we get to see the hard work that they do in the nets and in the pre-season, and they're here before us a lot of the time and leave after we're gone. So, a lady that bowls lots of balls, Soph Day, I see her bowling all the time in the nets, and for her to take 5 for what was it, a couple of days ago, I think that's
Bowled
great.
To victory.
And, bowled us to victory, and that shows the hard work that they put in is starting to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for coming in, both of you. Congratulations on the debut.
Thank you.
I know, obviously, Travis Head's not too happy with you, but that's bad luck for Trav. Next game is here against WA next week, weather permitting. We hope that things will all be okay there. And I guess it's a chance to try and get that win. You got so close getting them 7 wickets down South Australia. You just unfortunately couldn't get Henry Hunt out, which is a bit of an issue. But do you feel that there was some momentum to take out of that game going into the next one?
Oh, for sure. Like I thought, as I said, we were very good for probably 3.5, all 4 days really. I thought had the worst of the conditions and to play very well and come up just short. Henry Hunt obviously, the brick wall was very good. So definitely positives out of that, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a different squad going into this next game, and obviously against the Whackers, the reigning Shield champions, and I was 12th man last year when they won the Shield final, to see how good they are and to see how good their team is. I think with the squad we're going to throw out, it's only going to do us favours to be playing against a team like that. So, win, lose or draw, we'll be going well for the Big V, and hopefully we can get that win we're all hoping for.
And I know, Jono, you weren't there, but it was good to see Hanscom get runs. Obviously got a century in the second innings. Harris get runs in both innings. Some of the cream did rise to the top in the first Shield game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it just sort of shows how well these boys have been playing, and Harry obviously having a different pre-season in England, and Pete having a bit of a pre-season over there and as well with us. So I think it just sort of shows how strong our side is from perspective of guys sitting on the sidelines. So, I mean, absolutely love seeing those guys make runs, and hopefully it flows into the next game against WA.
Now, Jono, you're going to stick around, but I know you've got a question you would like to ask Fergus before we let him
I would,
go.
absolutely. So, Fergie, I think you've got your driver's license booked in for tomorrow on a day that's, 70 mils? But I've got to ask, because I've heard about 2 or 3 excuses from you where you haven't got your license. So what's the story there? Why haven't you got it? And what excuse have you got for us when you fail again?
I've just never got around to it, so that's a problem. I was a bit lazy as a youngster. Boys at work had the big landscape trucks, so they would pick me up in the morning. Had everything in there, so I didn't need to drive to and fro, and left it on the back burner. And tomorrow with 75 mils of rain, I got a 8:30 test, so hopefully there's no flash flooding or anything, and I'll be able to get that done, and I'll be driving into training on Friday morning.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you happy with that answer?
I look forward to hearing what he's got for me, because he runs his mouth a lot, that bloke, so he'll come up with some sort of excuse.
Well, Fergus, thank you. Jono, you stick around because Adam Crosswaite is our special guest. That's next on the Vic State Cricket Podcast.